Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here for another JumpStart spoiler video and another experiment in this format. You'll notice this video is going to be somewhat different than the previous video. Just going to kind of feel my way around into this new setup. So let's dive in to the cards that we are here to talk about. The first is Release the Dogs. I have to admit, based on the name, I would have liked it if they stuck with the whole Simpsons concept. It's like Release the Hounds, but whatever. Release the Dogs, that's fine. So it's 1 white and 3 for a sorcery that creates 4 1/1 white dog creature tokens. Now, Wizards has leaned heavily into this dog concept, it seems, since the advent of 2021 and the idea of bringing all the creature types together, get rid of Hound, make them dogs. I'm down with that, and obviously, with this card that we're looking at, this is a specifically made for JumpStart card that will very clearly, or at least, it seems pretty obvious, be in a dog-themed pack. So 4 mana for 4 1/1 white tokens is okay, it's not too bad. The flavor text says, they charge into battle and out for their morning walk with the same exuberance. Dogs are fun, man. I really like dogs. So them putting more dogs in Magic is alright, even if it does feel a little bit weird. You know what I mean? Like when you look at this artwork, look at that gigantic black, almost like bear of a dog with a gigantic battle scar on its arm and like a big spiked collar. And then you've got the other one that's kind of behind it in the background with like a metal helmet on. And then on the other side, you've got another one that's armored up, but then right there in the forefront, you got little yippers. He's just kind of like he doesn't fit in. First of all, that bear dog looks like it's 2/2. All right, the other tokens maybe 1/1. The bear dog looks 2/2, but that little guy with the little pink bandana there, he looks like a 0/1. You know what I do like about this artwork as well is the fact that the castle is shown in a kind of blurred way, indicating the speed that these rambunctious dogs come running out. But yeah, the little dog in the front, it gives me that same sort of out-of-place vibe that 9 Lives did, right? It just feels a little bit weird. But overall, a funky card. We're going to have a number of dogs to talk about in this video, including the big dog. But we'll get to him. The next dog we're going to talk about is Supply Runners, all right? 1 white and 4 for a 2/2. When Supply Runners enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. The flavor text says, good dogs stay by your side until the end. Great dogs leave to bring back aid. Yeah, what did they use those dogs for? They had dogs that they used in I think it was like the Swiss Alps or something, like rescue dogs, where they would put kegs around their necks full of, I don't know, whatever supplies. It might have just been brandy. I don't know, man. I'm gonna be real. When it comes to this, I've got my education entirely from Bugs Bunny cartoons. So I don't know how valid that information is. You look at the artwork here, and you can see 2 dogs that look more like wolves with crazy war helmets on. Even one side's blue. These dogs don't look like they're here to help. They look intimidating. And the think about being the dude in the back, is there a dude in the back? Or is that a bunch of stuff? It's a guy and stuff? I don't know. There's a massive greatsword that, is it falling off of the wagon? Guys, you gotta be more careful with your cargo. They're trucking it, that's for sure. These dogs are running at a high speed. So I guess the idea is supposed to be that these are dogs that you send back and forth on a trip to gather supplies. I don't know if there's supposed to be a person involved or not, but I feel like this cart wouldn't get very far without somebody steering it. But why is he facing the other direction? I don't know. Overall, 5 mana for a 2/2. It doesn't even boost itself when it comes out. This doesn't feel like a very good card, in all honesty. Yeah, maybe when you're playing in an actual JumpStart game. If you want to know how JumpStart works, I covered that in the first spoiler video. So I guess in a JumpStart style game, then maybe these guys are alright. But overall, underwhelmed by this card. But we've got another dog to talk about. This one's the Trusty Retriever. 1 white and 3 for a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. put a +1/+1 counter on Trusty Retriever, or return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. The flavor text says, wipe away the slobber and it's good as new, give or take a few bite marks. So the concept behind this would be literally your dog is fetching your gear for you. I like that. I mean, the enchantment part's a little more nebulous. Artifact makes perfect sense because that represents a real world physical object. So a dog going and retrieving something like that makes sense. Him being able to retrieve an enchantment makes the dog feel a bit more mystical, and that would actually explain why you would keep it as a pet. It is a little bit weird. The +1/+1 counter, like, what is he retrieving there? Is he going and getting the armor that he's wearing? I don't know. Either way, this dog looks pretty funky. Like, look at this. This is a 2/3 dog, and the card we just looked at had 2 dogs in the artwork, and together they equaled a 2/2. So first of all, this is a big, beefy boy dog. Like, this is a fat daddy dog. Either that or the armor that it's wearing beefs up its stats. But it's interesting to note that the previous dogs we look at, which looked just as, actually, in some ways, probably more vicious, are not as beefcake as this guy. And you can see all in the background, all these different signs of war as the dog is charging forward in armor, bringing you your sword. That's pretty cool, man. I like dogs way more than I like cats. The next card we're going to talk about is Terramorphic Expanse. This is a land. You tap it and sacrifice it. Search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. It's interesting to note that Fabled Passage is the same thing, except if you already have 3 lands out already, it basically lets you put the land into play untapped. And that's enough of a difference to take a card like this from common to rare. And that's not that big a shift, but it is significant enough. Now, this artwork is fantastic. The flavor text says the land has its own intentions beyond the understanding of those who live on it. And that's attributed to Nissa Ravane. And what we have here is essentially the 5 different types of lands. That's how it appears to me. You've got your forest down here in the bottom. On the left-hand side, you've got your plains. At the top, you've got the mountain. And then off to the side, you have your swamp. And I'm not sure if the 2 things off to the side are supposed to represent swamp and island, or if the 2 things off to the side are supposed to represent swamp, and underneath it all the water is supposed to represent the island. That's the only part that's not very clear to me. But I do absolutely love how vivid and colorful the artwork is on this card. That's a real win in my books. Now, I said we had the big dog to talk about, and we do. Isamaru, Hound of Konda. And oh my lord, this card is emblematic of just how much things have changed in Magic the Gathering over time. Now, this card originally came out in Kamigawa, okay? And Kamigawa was an underpowered set intentionally to balance out what happened with Mirrodin. But Isamaru felt really strong for the time. 1 mana for a 2/2 with no abilities, just 1 mana for a 2/2 was enough to make him legendary. Nowadays, you can pay 1 mana for a 2/1 with like multiple abilities. So he doesn't feel nearly as impressive. The extra 1 toughness that he has doesn't really make him feel like he's rare. I'm kind of surprised they didn't downgrade him because at the end of the day, he's just a vanilla dog, right? So 1 mana for a 2/2. The Hound sniffed the air and let slip a low growl. General Takeno looked down at the faithful Isamaru and calmed him with a touch. Alert the guard. The kami are coming. So Isamaru could actually feel like the spirit's coming. He's a cool character. It's not like he has like a huge massive role in anything. He is just a dog. But I mean, look at that artwork. He's very striking with his like polar white coat. Again, they've got the big like spiked collar going on. But look at the gigantic restraining ring that the handler has to hold them back. And just the spittle that's flying forwards, like Isamaru is just snapping his jaws forward like an absolute maniac. You know, that is pretty cool artwork, pretty cool flavor overall. But although, you know, it is underwhelming from the perspective of actual, like, this is legendary? This is rare? It doesn't feel like it anymore. Let's be real. That's like uncommon or common at best, truthfully. Can't have more than one Isamaru mode. Oh my god, do you have two vanilla dogs? Oh my god, I'm gonna burn wizards to the ground. How do they allow such power to exist? You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit silly. Speaking of silly, let's take a look at Knight of the Tusk. 2 white and 4 for a 3/7 vigilance. The flavor text says, horse? Who needs a horse? And I agree with this guy. Why would you want to ride a horse when you could ride a gigantic elephant of doom? You know what I mean? Like, this guy is a 3/7, but he feels way more beefcake. And also, 7 toughness combined with vigilance makes for such a hassle to try and get through. I dig this card in, like, drafts. Outside of drafts, I mean, let's be real. The power level on this card is garbage. But inside of draft action, I get a kick of how difficult it is to get around a creature like this, and how you can just keep slamming them in over and over and over. All right, my friends, thus ends this installment of the JumpStart spoilers with our next level of experimenting in the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for coming by, everybody, and I will see you all very soon.